Hey everybody, Dave here, Hidden Freedom Investing. In today's video, we're going to go over income ETFs. Should you use them or should you not? Stick around to find out. The information expressed in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. This information is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research. All right, welcome back everybody. In this video, I just want to talk about these two videos that I found here, why covered call ETFs are costing you money. That's one of them. And the other one here being, this is the fastest way possible to live off dividends. Of course, I read that wrong, just dyslexic over here, but this is the fastest possible way to live off dividends. Pretty interesting videos. And who is right? So it's either this one or this one. And I'm going to give you my take. They're pretty good videos, honestly. I mean, 289,000 views on this video. Obviously, I wouldn't call it clickbaity, but, and then this one has about 15,000 views. But this is a Canadian video specifically. So let me just tell you a little bit about what this video is kind of about here. So in this video, this guy here, I don't even know who this guy is, but he's kind of comparing an ETF and then against, basically the same ETF that, is a covered call ETF. So he's got two ETFs and he's comparing the two. One's a non-covered call ETF and one is a covered call ETF. And then he kind of displays like a chart and shows you, which one performs better and all that. And, his takeaway is that the non-covered call ETF performs better overall. So that's the reason why he prefers to have the non-covered call ETF. So, and then the other video here, this is the fastest possible way to live off dividends. I actually really like this one. And so what this guy is doing is, he's talking about like Procter & Gamble. He's talking about J&J. They pay, 2%, 3%. It's going to take you $1 million to have a substantial amount of dividend income to live off of it, right? So if you have a 3.5% yield across your dividend portfolio, just filled with individual dividend-paying stocks such as Procter & Gamble, 3M, Johnson & Johnson, ExxonMobil, of the like, and then you're going to have about $35,000 worth of income on $1 million portfolio. And he kind of makes the statement in the video that, $1 million portfolio is not real common. It's not something that a lot of people are going to be able to achieve. And, to reach that number just to live off the dividends could take quite a while. And I'm not going to disagree there. That definitely could be a huge milestone for many people. And for people that especially get a late start. So and that's when he kind of brings up QYLD, and I believe he brings up NUSI in this video as well. And it has about a 12% yield on QYLD, and I think that NUSI is right around 8% or so right now, the recording of this video. So that's probably why this video got 289,000 views, because people are going to search, how the heck can I retire right now? And what's the quickest way from point A to point B? Obviously, it's a straight line, and this guy's take is, QYLD, NUSI, JEPI. I don't know if he mentions JEPI, but so those ETFs will get you the faster than the normal traditional route of dividend growth investing, which is, Procter & Gamble's, the 3Ms, the Caterpillars, the Johnson & Johnsons, the KMBs, the CLs, and all that stuff, which I do own. We will be looking at my portfolio here at the end and kind of talking about how I'm going to use these income ETFs to retire early. So, all right. So let me just say, who's right, who's wrong here? All right. Is this guy right? Is this guy wrong? Was the other guy right? That's this one here. Is this guy right or is this guy wrong? Let me just say this. Both are right. Both are wrong. All right. Now it just depends on what your goals are. Okay. So if you want to retire early and you need income, monthly income or something like that, and you have a substantial amount of money, say $500,000 or something like that, then, getting into a NUSI, a JEPI, a QYLD could be a good way for you to go. You're not going to worry about having the most return possible, like this guy is basically saying, all right? So, but you'll get, let's just say, 6% or something like that on average. So 6 times 5, that's about $30,000, right? And that's basically what this guy's talking about here. All right. Now, this guy is talking about that the covered call is going to underperform the non-covered call variant. And we're not going to talk about covered calls in this video. I mean, it's just, we do a lot of options on this channel. I don't really make a lot of videos on it, but you can always look that up, or go look at Jerry over here at ETF, GW ETF channel. He talks about it a lot too. But so they're just, running covered calls against all their stocks or possibly against the index. And then they're, basically getting income that way. But, obviously when you do a strike that's slightly above or at the money of what the current stock is in that ETF, or many stocks could be as well, then you're capping the returns, right? Like if the stock goes up and blows past your strike, well, guess what? You're going to, basically going to lock the money in, whatever that strike was. And then all that, appreciation above that strike, you're not going to capture. So that's what this guy's talking about in this video here. And, so this guy's not wrong. It will definitely cap or definitely limit the amount of performance / returns you would get, but you will get a pretty steady, distribution. We'll call it a dividend / distribution or capital return. You'll have to pay, taxes on that, of course. So it's not going to be preferable compared to a standard individual dividend portfolio, which is normally favorable at 15%. You would have to pay on long-term dividends. So this one, I would say he's right and wrong as well. Obviously, it's the fastest way possible to live off dividends. I agree there. But it probably may not be the best way to go for a lot of people, right? Like if you have, 30 years or something like that before you're going to retire, then this may not be the way you want to go, because you're going to limit the amount of returns you're going to have, just what we're talking about here, by having covered calls in there at the money or slightly above at the money. Then, you're going to limit your returns. And if that's what you're trying to go after and reach, $1 million or $2 million in those 10 to 20 years, 30 years, then this is definitely going to limit that. All right. Now, there is another strategy where you could put some money into some of these income ETFs and then kind of funnel that money into individual stocks such as Johnson & Johnson, Triple M, Procter & Gamble, Kimberly-Clark, and ExxonMobil, or those types of stocks, the individual stocks, which I have in my dividend portfolio, which we'll look at here in a second. So they're both right, they're both wrong. So it really just depends on what your overall strategy is going to be, like time horizon, risk tolerances, and all that. So I mean, there is some downside risk with QLD, JEPI, NUSI, and all those. Obviously, NUSI is running a collar, which means it has protection, but a slow bleed is not going to help you. A death by 1,000 cuts is not going to help you. It really only has crash protection. QLD is somewhat, I wouldn't call it new, but they are paying out, I think, more than they make. So that is a kind of a concern for me as well. JEPI is a little bit different, redheaded stepchild there. They're doing ELNs in the background, covered calls against that, and then they're paying out obviously a little bit less than what QLD pays. And then you got NUSI, which pays out a pretty substantial amount of distribution. I think it's 8%, a little bit over 8% right now. And they're running a collared strategy, so they do sell covered calls, and they also buy protection on the downside, which actually limits the amount of upside. So if you look at a chart on all of these, they actually haven't performed very well. So here we're looking at NUSI, and you can obviously see over the last several months that it's kind of just trending down, and obviously the stock market's been coming down the last few days here, so NUSI has been selling off a little bit more than what I'd say the NASDAQ selling off. And if we let's just scroll out to a monthly here to look at the monthly. So here's NUSI right here on a monthly chart. So it's somewhat new as well. So there's not a lot of performance data on it. So unfortunately, that is what it is. So here's QLD here. And obviously over several, last 5, 6, 7 years, we're in a bull market. And look at this, QLD is kind of sold off. And that's exactly what this guy is talking about right here. It does underperform. So in general, QLD, if the market's going sideways, honestly, QLD wouldn't be a bad ETF to be in. You're still going to get your 12% distribution, and it's going to get paid monthly, and you're not going to have to worry about the upside. But in a bull market, you will definitely underperform. And then finally here is JEPI right here. And obviously JEPI just came out in 2020 around June-ish, May, June-ish time frame. So there's not a lot of information on it. And, they have a little bit different strategy. There's using those ELNs in the background, but it has performed pretty good compared to some of the other ones, but it is what it is. You're still going to underperform the market because you're still doing covered calls, and that will definitely limit your performance. Do you own any income ETFs? Comment below. Go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. And as I promised, I told you I'd show you my dividend portfolio and kind of talk about the strategy I'm going to use because I do plan on retiring next year in 2022. So this is the overview page here. Obviously, we had a very bad day. Today is Wednesday, and we had a very bad day in the market today, so 1.5% overall. And I dropped over $7,000, just shedded that from the dividend portfolio. So, and yesterday I think it was like another $5,000. So I literally lost a ton of money just in those 2 days. But that said, this dividend income up here, $21,912, and then monthly is $1,826, stayed exactly the same. So yeah, okay, the dividend portfolio shed over, was at $13,000 or something like that, but the dividend income remained the same. And right now, my account weighted dividend yield is 4.58%. And obviously, that's kind of high. And the reason why it's so high is because of those income ETFs, which are right here. So here's NUSI right here. That is the collared ETF, income ETF. It does pay monthly. We got VYM here, which is a whole different, another strategy I tried, and I didn't like the way it worked. I am up over 26% in that ETF. Over $17,000 gain. We also have JEPI here, and that is basically kind of flat in that. Have about $35,000 invested in that at this time. And then we got Divo up here, which is a monthly pair as well, which they do covered calls. And it's very similar to basically owning all these individual stocks that I have up here in this ETF called Divo, and then they're just running the covered calls for me. So if you're not familiar with my channel, I originally started out with 35 stocks of individual stocks like I have all up here, and then I sold some off, but I was getting them all built up to at least 100 shares like this. All these are 100 over 100 over 100, and then I was selling covered calls against various positions. And then I found there was a kind of a strategy flaw with some of the smaller stocks just not really paying much premium, so it was kind of useless to try to make any money off of covered calls. And that is when I switched to VYM and sold out of a lot of those individual positions slowly but surely, and then dumped a bunch of money into Vanguard VYM. Now I had a lot of money into Vanguard VYM. I had over a couple of thousand shares at one point, and I was selling several contracts against it. It was working okay for quite a while, and until the market just went on a major run, and then it kept bursting past my strike price. And if you're not familiar with trying to sell covered calls against VYM, really you can only go up about a few strikes up where you can make any decent amount of money from it. And if you come down, you're literally like right at the money, so you're kind of stuck. You can only go up so far to make a decent amount of money. But if you try to come down any further, you're right at the money. So there is, about 90 days straight there where I sold cover calls against it, made pretty good money. And then, the next few times it just ran past my strike, and I had to buy them back for a loss because I did not want to realize this gain right here for tax purposes. And that moves me to the next phase here where I started dumping money out of VYM. Started sticking more money into NUSI, JEPI, and Divo is kind of recent, so I've been trying to reduce the VYM exposure and put a little bit more money into Divo. So Divo will run the covered calls for me, and I don't have to deal with that whole, rigmarole or saga or whatever you want to call it, pain in my ass, trying, things running past my strike, so I don't have to deal with that. Divo pays, I think, about a 5% return. Let's see here, or yield, I should say. Yeah, about 5% yield. And it does pay monthly. So right now, this is a monthly payer. Divo, JEPI is a monthly payer, and NUSI is a monthly payer. Obviously, there is no QYLD in my portfolio at this time. My plan is, yes, I am going to retire next year. There is $478,000 in this dividend portfolio at this time. I do have plans to build this portfolio up to $1 million. As a matter of fact, it will actually reach about 1.2 million at some point when all my real estate notes get paid back. It will definitely cross over the $1 million mark. But that said, I do plan on retiring next year, and $21,000 is all that this portfolio provides at this time, which is not enough to live on. So that is where the covered call and some of these income ETFs come into play. So in this case here, NUSI got over $106,000, generates over $8,700 a year in income. And then if I kind of get rid of VYM or dump a little bit more money out of VYM and go into, say, Divo, that will increase the amount of money as well. So I do plan on building these ETFs out probably to about $100,000 each. So some people may be asking, am I going to add QYLD? And the answer to that question is yes, I might. So I'm not the biggest fan of QYLD, but I think a small position in my portfolio, say 10% or less, about $100,000 at some point, would be okay in my dividend portfolio. My long-term strategy here will be to actually build these up where I can actually just live off of those income ETFs, and then all of the individual stocks up here will kind of supplement that as well. So if it's more income than I need at some point, because it will be, eventually I think if this has like a 5%, let's just say average across the whole portfolio, then that'll be about $50,000 to $60,000, and that's more money than I need to live on. So I'll actually probably just reinvest a lot of that excess cash back into some of these individual stocks up here. And who knows, I could even add other individual stocks as well. There is 27 positions in here, including the ETFs. As I like to call it, once the portfolio gets too big to fail, I will go ahead and so I will start redirecting some of that income back into some of the positions. And, if there's one down, like Kimberly-Clark is right here, I would probably just invest more back into that. And then other stocks, if they're down or something like that, or if I wanted to build out a new position, I'd just redirect some of those income ETFs back into those individual positions. So that is the strategy going forward at this time. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and leave a comment below. You can hit me up on Twitter, Facegram, or you can shoot me an email if you want as well. So until next time, go ahead and like and subscribe. We'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.